This is the build video for the Wrecker Life rat rod tow truck, 1928 style rat rod tow truck. Before we get into it, I just thought I'd mention a couple of things. The tow truck itself is a tribute build to Jonathan W. channel. He owns a wrecker business, A1 Towing, in Cameron, North Carolina. And I've been following his channel for a long time and enjoying his content, and that's why I decided to build this model. I came across his channel a few years back now, and I would have been researching rat rods when I was building the Rust Never Sleeps cancer charity build. And he builds rat rods for charity also. They're called the one day rat rod build, and where he gets parts together, the car, the body, and any parts that are required, gets it all together and ready, and then invites a lot of guys around, and they go at it hammer and tongs for one day, and they build a rat rod, and they put money in a kitty to give to his charity. Becca, I think it is. It's Bikers Against Child Abuse, and yeah, that's his charity. And he does this, I think, once a year, and really cool. And I've been hooked on his channel ever since. So that's the reason for the styling. That's why it's red, because his fleet of wreckers is red. He looks after his kit, don't get me wrong. He would never have a vehicle like this in his fleet. This is a fantasy vehicle. So yeah, and a lot of this is just out of my imagination, picking up cues from watching his videos. So we'll get on to how I built this. I started this in January 2018, finished it December 2018 with a few days to spare. So a 1 year build, which if you follow my channel is pretty quick for me. It's probably half the time it took me to do the shock truck and a third of the time it took me to do the Roadster. So yeah, getting there. Yeah, and you compare that with Jonathan and his mates building a real rat rod in one day. Yeah, shame. Anyway, about this build, and another thing I'll mention is a channel I'm subscribed to, Del350K4. Yeah, it's a mouthful. I'll put a link in the description also. He does custom builds also, and he did a video where he did a narration over a build that he did from start to finish, and it was quite entertaining. So I thought I'd give that a go, and so he's inspired me for the style of the video that this will be. And of course Jonathan inspired this model build from the get-go. I should probably also thank Josh at RC Everyday, another channel I'm subscribed to, for hooking me up with this flathead V8 3D printed by his mate, Cullah 3D. So check those guys out. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and let's get on with it. So the first footage we have here is the video I had uploaded about building the cowl and the firewall, and also the chassis rails. A lot of this video footage has already been uploaded to my channel. It's probably ended up in one of my channel vlogs, or sometimes I upload videos that are unlisted, and I just post them in the community tab of my channel. So for some people, subscribers who get those, just little extras. So yeah, this was a video about the doing the channel chassis, using that little wooden jig you can see there in the background, and just a general catch up. I did a video on how to white wall tires, a little tutorial number. So this would have been, we're looking at around beginning of 2018, so The first video would have been in January. This would have been, I don't know, February, March, I'm not too sure. But in this video I took a bunch of RC four-wheel drive tyres and just spray painted them with plasti dip, white plasti dip in this aerosol can, and so far that's worked out pretty well. This was an experiment, and I ended up using these tyres on the tow truck. Here we have a little behind the scenes video that I posted on my community tab, where I was working on the chassis and hanging the front suspension, and you may be able to see or not that at this stage the front suspension had 2 leaf springs. It was more of a traditional truck front end, but in the end I cut those off and hung a suicide axle. I then did a video about the flathead V8 when Josh at RC Every Day hooked me up with one from Nightcrawler's 3D. I did a video about that when I got it, how I painted it up and weathered it, and showed different things I was planning on doing to the 3D printed flathead V8 to add more detail. I think it looks pretty good actually, that little V8, and I'm pretty sure they're not too badly priced either. You'd have to check out Nightcrawler's 3D on Facebook. I don't do Facebook, so I don't know about the page exactly or how you order one, but they do scrub up pretty good. That's it there with the block painted red and the heads and the supercharger in chrome, and the pipes painted white, and a little elastic band on there for the belt. And yeah, they're a good wee engine, mock engine. I like them. So yeah, a good alternative to the expensive RC4 drive aluminium V8s. I did a video following that about making some scale radiators. This was a video that was part of the shop truck series, but when I did that I knocked out 2 of them while I was doing it using a CNC machine. I just milled these out of plywood, a scrap of plywood that I had in the shed, and you can see there's 2 side by side. The full one at the front was the one I used in the shop truck, and the one at the back there is the one where I dished out an area for mounting a servo, which I made to look like an intercooler by adding some silver aluminium tape and some kind of sticky radiator type sticker, which I think is by Year Racing from memory. I would have got it from RC Mart, I think, from memory, that radiator sticker. Then I built the doors and the rear of the cab. The doors are made out of quartered box tube, which is the standard stuff that most of us guys that build our own chassis use. We split it down the middle to make C-section. Same stuff, it's just quartered. So the doors are from a computer case, and the back of the cab, I believe, is probably from a DVD player, I expect, or maybe a old style hard drive recorder. So I just got it mocked up here. You can see the servo in the front of the radiator where I was testing that out. Not really much else to say about it at this stage, early mock-up stages, and I'm explaining here about the hinges that I made from chain links. I also milled out on the CNC machine the wooden roof pattern. I just made it square, and then I curved it by hand tools at least, using a flapper disc so that it didn't have a uniform machined look about it. It had more of a old school handcrafted coach builder feel about it. I used the plywood, I think it's 5 ply. I used that to give it the illusion of having little slats in it, being built by little slats to give it the curvature. So I think that worked out okay. Oh, and then I stained it just using a bit of used car oil just to manky it up a bit, because it was too clean looking. So what are we doing here? The chassis, I've got the rear suspension leaf springs on there, and I'm explaining a little bit about the boom that I built. Just one day in the workshop I felt like making a boom. This is a cut up piece of shelving that was used for the boom, and at this stage I've hung the front axle, which is a semi-truck axle, but I haven't put the hairpins or radius arms, depending on whatever you want to call them. Here I've weathered the V8 engine by pouring used car oil on it and dropping dust all over it, which gives it a real good authentic oily engine look, because that's exactly what it is. I did this, I split the axle in half and put it in a square tube to widen it. For the steering, you can see here I used an old house key attached to the servo horn, and those two bits of metal there that are the steering arms, they're just out of a computer. They are hard drive brackets, I expect, knowing me, and it's just using a generic Tower Hobbies servo. So that was just me testing the steering out to see if I had good steering using a servo tester. And you can see the front axle there a bit better there as also. It works pretty well. This is something that Josh at Us Every Day did on his build to widen the front end. I built the back hoop here and added the chains, generic cheap chains, probably Year Racing or something like that. I use bobbins off of from sewing machines at the bottom there, and at the top for those parts I just used inside that little bolt is an old bearing, axle bearing, and 2 washers either side. I ran out of washers, so one of them has a 5-cent coin on the side. Then I started building up. This is just before I welded the hoop on to the back, and at this stage you can see I've spray painted and signed right in the cab. This is before I welded that hoop on, and I've also added the little gearing for rolling the chains backwards and forward. So I've got, at this stage, I've mounted a few little details like the fire extinguisher, and also I've got the steering wheel done. The shaft there for dropping the steering wheel in, I don't think I filmed that part of it with the building the steering wheel. I can't remember, to be honest. So this will just be a little catch-up video where I'm talking about where I'm at with this build, and not much going on. Some various photos of mocking up the engine and the radiator there. I think I might have some of these videos out of order, but you'll get the gist of what's going on. So the steering, here's the steering wheel using bike chains, and some of the wiring looms that I added for the lighting units. At this stage I've got the transmission in with a Tamiya 540 can motor, and I have the flathead V8 in place, and I'm just adding lights to the front buckets there. So I'm talking about how I painted the white LEDs with white paint to try and make them a bit dimmer so they didn't appear so bright. The back end, the boom, that's now been painted white and weathered. Just leave it outside, let it rust basically, and also a little bit of diesel oil on any of the joints, because that gives a nice oily look. I put the body back out and weathered that up, and generally my method of weathering is just dump it in the garden and leave it there and let the steel do its thing. Just wander out there every day and with a watering can and water your body, and steel will do what steel does. And I've also put the smoke on the side here, so this is definitely not chronological because I've got footage of me doing that somewhere else in this video. I did a video with the exhaust manifolds, exhaust pipes, the Laker style pipes. They're nice pipes, but they have the print layering, you can see it, and I didn't bother to sand them down or put any thick primer on, so I thought I'll just add some exhaust wrap on it to hide the print layering, and I just thought it'd be nice to just add another kind of detail to the RC car. So I used chopped up shoelaces and wire, bread tie wire, to wire it on. And that's it there. I didn't glue them on or anything like that. I just figured I'd wire them up, and that looked pretty authentic, I think. I also had to lengthen the pipes a wee bit. This is the part of a server hard drive caddy, so that I'd cut up already. So what I did is use that on the back of the tow truck as the lower deck, not the upper deck. It's perforated, it's got lots of holes in it for, you know, your venting and that for being in a computer, and it seemed to, and it was nice and thick and it was lying around, so I thought, and I didn't even have to really cut it up, it was the right size, so I just cleaned it up a little bit and cut out some little nicks, and then I welded that to the chassis, and that worked out pretty well. I figured that'd make a good battery tray and place for electrics if I ran out of space in the cab of the truck. So here I've got the back axle off, and I'm welding that plate, fitting and welding that old hard drive caddy to the bottom of the chassis there. And I don't go crazy with these things. I generally tack things together. I don't really need to lay into it with the welder. These are toys, you know. So yeah, no one's going to lose their life if it comes apart. So there's a wee bit more high speed footage here where I'm putting the it's like a little rocker panel on one side, even though this style of vehicle doesn't have one. This is an experiment. So one side I wanted to have a floor pan like it had been repaired, so it's off colour, it's not red, and on the other side I wanted it to look like it had been left rusty, like the repair hasn't been completed. So what I'm doing here is just making sure the bottom of the patch panel and the rocker cover are nice and flush and straight, and everything looks right when it's sitting. So it's, you know, take a little bit off here and there, and don't rush it, and don't take too much off, and yeah, a lot of that carry on. So that's what it looks like with that hard drive part in there. And then what am I drilling holes in here? Oh, I'm adding some details to the firewall and engine bay area, so I needed to drill some more holes in the front there to feed in the fuel line and the linkage for the carburetors, which I made out of little bits of wire and pins and just stuff. I pull apart a lot of electrical components, you know, like if I pull apart a DVD player or a video player, they have so many little brackets and things on springs. They're a great source of stuff that you can reuse for these models. There's no need to make your own when someone's already made it. You just got to go hunting for it. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm welding on the brake booster that I made out of it's a little motor from I think it's from yeah, there it is there. Okay, here we are. We're making the headlights out of those things here. So earlier footage was already on, so yeah, it's out of order, but they're the little gas cylinders that I chopped up and used for the light buckets, and they look pretty cool. And later on I put the lenses on, and that brake booster, yeah, what I was saying there is it was made out of a little motor out of a old floppy drive, and the two tower bits on the front there, they're from a electric motor from a Tamiya RZ. So at this stage I was thinking I wanted to put a gas filler tank and a gas filler on the top of the cowl, because I hadn't done that before. So I dropped a hole in there for a gas filler, and the gas filler I ended up using the top of a stem for a push bike valve. So yeah, here I am burning plastic because I don't have a little airbrush set. So what I'm doing here is burning plastic in my vise that lets off a lot of black sooty smoke, and I'm just getting it to go down the sides of the truck cabin on the doors. It's not the best way to do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I just don't have an airbrush. I got a little compressor, I just haven't got myself an airbrush yet. So I think in the future I'd like to get a little cheap airbrush and use it, because I think it'd be a lot easier to do. It's hard to control. That smoke just goes where it wants. It's not really ideal, but it works. I've always done this method ever since I was a kid, doing plastic models and that. So yeah, I didn't light any houses on fire, but you gotta watch yourself, that's for sure. So because that is just pretty much soot, you gotta lock it in. So dump a bit of clear coat on the side there, because if you stuck your fingers on that, it'd just come right off and it'd look terrible. So a little bit of clear spray on the side of the cab there, which I don't really like doing because it changes the way the light bounces, so it becomes uniform whether the light is bouncing off the paint or the rust that's on the door. It kind of affects the way it looks. It's like, you know, those patinaed cars where they put the clear coat, it just looks weird, you know. It's the way the light reflects off the surface. So anyway, more lighting, wiring here. This is when I was testing out the it's a year racing cheap lighting unit, just playing around with the lighting settings and things like that. I later added a winch. That little winch there was about a cheap $25 winch. So it's mounted down in there, and the cable goes up around the back and then goes up onto the boom. It doesn't have remote control or nothing like that. It just runs off one of those switches you see there. The other switch is for the lighting unit, and just a bit more of the cabling. My mate got me a piece of metal, or aluminium. This is off the back of a truck mirror, wing mirror. So we're at the truck centre where he works, and he's seen that and thought that I'd like to use that, so he brought it over, and it looks like a diamond plate, aluminium diamond plate. You know, in scale world, it's got this kind of diamond plate look about it, so that was really cool. So I cut a piece of that off, and I used that to create the deck, which would cover up where the battery is on the rear there, so I didn't have exposed battery and that sort of thing. All the other electronics, speed controller and receiver, etc. That all fits up underneath the in the cowl there and behind the dash. So the electrics are in there pretty good. The whole body's held on by 4 M3 bolts, and all the electrics are held on by Velcro. So, you know, if you taking it apart, your wires aren't going to get yanked. You know, the Velcro will pull loose first. It's a really good system of for mounting electronics, I think. Makes things easy to remove and put back. Yeah, so I just cut up that aluminium and shaped it, that shape, and that looked pretty good. And that was pretty much the last thing I did on it before doing the videos of the tow truck, where I did the reveal videos. And that's pretty much it, really. So that's the build video of this RC model. So that's done. Today I was mucking around with some designs for t-shirts. I'll put some little images here. They'll be available on my web store, available to order from the 10th of January. The people that do the t-shirts are on holiday at the moment, so if you can, go and order one. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Next video will be a running video. Gonna go out to an industrial area and run it around with my mate, do some filming of that. And since I broke the drive shaft in the shock truck, we'll have a crack at towing that thing. So anyway, cheers for watching, guys, and it was a long one, but it happens sometimes. Hopefully you sat through it all, and yeah, see you on the next video. Catch us later.